I'm Alex.
And I'm Josh.
Back when it first came out, the FujiFilm X100 would have set you back about $1,300. Today it costs about $400.
So how is it 6 years on? This is Decaffeinated Photography. Let's find out.
Let's shoot some Fujifilm. This is a 2011 Fujifilm X100, and on the front it has a 23mm f2 lens.
On the back, there's nothing that special apart from the autofocus modes on the left, and on the right are your typical buttons found on most cameras. On top of the camera is the exposure dial, the shutter button, and the on-off switch. The left of the camera has the switch for the 3 focus modes.
On the right underneath the flap is a mini USB port and a mini HDMI port. The fixed focal length may be a problem for some, but Fuji offers 2 conversion lenses. One is for wide angle and the other is for telephoto.
The X100 has a hybrid viewfinder. When you look through, you get frame lines like traditional rangefinder cameras, and at the flick of a switch, you get a complete through-the-lens digital version of what your camera is seeing. Even though the specs may not be too impressive on paper, can this replace your DSLR as your daily driver? Let's head to the streets.
Let's get out and shoot some Fuji. So, I've been shooting with a DSLR for about 5 years now. Just to learn the ropes, stuff like that. Recently took the plunge on the X100, 6 years old, a 12 megapixel sensor, and my mind is blown.
The Fujifilm X100, very nice camera. I'm just going to say straight off the bat, I don't think it's going to replace my DSLR. It has a very nice feel. It's got the faux leather build, the very metal build, very reminiscent to vintage cameras. I really like it for that reason. But it takes a bit more convincing to win me over.
Shooting with this camera, especially on the street, is very good. It has a silent shutter function, so nobody knows you're taking photos.
How's it going?
How you going? Where's the drone?
We don't have any
We
drone.
don't have one.
We don't have enough money for a drone.
No. If you have one to give, I'd happily take it off your hands, but we don't have a drone. So
We're reviewing this camera right now.
Oh, good. See ya.
See? Silent shutter. That's what I love about this camera. It's silent. I took a sneaky pic of the cops.
Say it a bit louder, maybe I'll hear this
I
time.
said I took a sneaky pic of the cops.
So the good thing about this camera is that it has the rangefinder, which you don't get with DSLRs. And it offers a completely different shooting experience to the DSLRs. So you can set up your frame and wait for your subject to walk into it. And personally for me, I really like that shooting experience. I really enjoy that. So we'll set up here and wait for someone to walk into our frame. May take a while. Here we go, we got this guy in the blue jacket coming up. Yeah.
This camera is very awesome for how small it is. But the thing is, in order to make full use of it, you really have to be using its automatic features. I mean, you can't focus if you're using the rangefinder manually. I mean, I'm going to walk that way. There is a way to focus manually. There's a switch at the front here where it changes the rangefinder to an LCD panel. But even then, it's very hard to figure out if it's sharp. So because of that, you really have to rely on the autofocusing abilities of this. And to be honest, it's about just as good as the AF35mm. If you haven't watched that, go watch it. The autofocus is just as bad. It will tell you it's in focus, but it couldn't be more out of focus. Sometimes it is the minimum distance. It is because of the minimum distance. You walk on the road right now. Most of the time, it's just not focusing properly.
So the JPEGs straight out of the camera on the X100 look amazing, but I do need to warn you that if you shoot with Lightroom and you shoot them in RAW, when you import them into Lightroom, they will not look like they did on the camera. So you then need to go into camera calibration and choose your favorite film preset. So it's okay, it's very easy to do, but when you shoot JPEGs, they look much better straight out of the camera.
So another thing I'm not very ecstatic about with this camera is its really slow interface. It looks like a film camera, and it takes about just as much time to look at the photos as a film camera is. And you press the playback button, and you look at the flashing LED light for about 15 minutes before it actually shows you. Props on Fujifilm for giving us a firmware update to actually try and fix it, but it is still pretty bad. Something that could deter you from actually getting this if you want instant feedback on what your photo looks like. Again, I keep coming back to this. There is a lot of reliance on the camera and not enough manual control, I reckon. Although it does take very nice photos. I would like a faster glimpse at the photo I took so I know what settings to change if I'm in manual. And that's pretty much half the reason why I don't think this will replace my DSLR. Because I like to experiment a little bit with like shutter speeds and f-stops, and that may speak volumes on my photography skills, but I think that feature is very much missing in this. So we've tested out the street photography aspects of this camera. We think it's quite good.
I think it's pretty good. I think it's very good. Now we're going to go and test out its landscape abilities. Probably go to like a roof of a car park or something like that, and see how it goes for the sunset.
I just took a photo. Couldn't even hear it. Go!
Josh thinks he's driving, but he's not.
We ready to go? Hop in my car.
Thanks everybody for watching. Chuck us a like if you liked the video. And I gotta say, this camera sure may not have had top specs, but the images definitely pop. I think for $400 it's surprisingly worth the purchase. Like, it's pretty cheap.
Yeah, it's not going to replace my DSLR, but it is a very welcome companion to it, just based on the way you don't have to think about anything. I mean, the long list of presets in the camera itself just shows that Fujifilm's really thinking about the colors that it's producing.
Personally, I feel like specs don't mean as much because every photo looks really good.
Yeah, and I think if there's one reason why the X100 really stands on its own today, it's because Fujifilm really stuck to its roots with this camera.
Yeah. Don't do it again.
I mean, it may be small, miss the focus sometimes, and is not the best technically by a long shot, but it's guaranteed that you'll have fun using it.
And isn't that what counts?
Should we go in here? Urban Explorer?
Be sure to check out our Instagram and other social media links below. If you have any feedback, let us know.
Alright guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to tune in for our next one.
See you later.